Everybody, welcome to the HSA podcast, The Rise Above. Today we have Coach Tony over here at Greenwood Christian, head coach. And I'm going to introduce this. It's funny because a lot of times that I have coaches on here are like longtime friends, longtime golfing buddies. We've known each other, we've shook hands, but we've never had a legit like sit-down conversation.
Yep.
This whole conversation started with a Facebook post, and it was appropriate. It was the pricing of AAU and how it's just outsourcing, and it was a good conversation of what you said. And I went back at you like I agree, and we kind of exchanged. And I was like, let's talk about this on a podcast. And so that led to us of where we are now. But without further introduction of anything, but I want Tony to introduce yourself. Where'd you grow up? Where did you play basketball, and talk to how you got here?
Sure, yeah. So I grew up on the south side of Indianapolis. I went to Southport High School, played all 4 years there at Southport, played for Jason Delaney, who's now up at Cathedral, for 3 years, and then had a 1-year tenure with Mark Eccles. After high school, went to Indiana University. I was not good enough to play there. And so stuck around the program a bit at IU. I was in sports broadcasting, got to do some cool things. We were really good. My junior and senior year was when they had Zeller and Holes and all those guys were preseason number one. So from afar, got to see how a good program operated. Right after college, got into the high school coaching ranks, coached for Kyle Simpson at Southport for several years. Started at the middle school level, moved up through high school. And then coached under Eric Brand for a couple years there as well at Southport. While doing that, was actually, I was part of the AAU life. Like I worked, I coached at Indiana Elite. Ended up being a director there. So I'm not here on a crusade necessarily against the AAU.
No.
More so, I've been on the inside. I've seen some of the inner workings of how it operates. And then, as you noted, head coach at Greenwood Christian Academy this season. Was my first year there. Started slow, but ended up winning a sectional title, which was a lot of fun. And so, yeah.
With
also
a very young team.
What's that?
With a very young
we did.
team.
Yeah, we returned 4 points per game this past season from a 10-14 team the previous year. So had to put a lot of work and growth in, but props to the guys. Like they bought in and they understood kind of the assignment, and we won 8 of our last 10 games, turned into a sectional title, which was really cool. Also, at one point owned bballtools.com. It was a source just for coaches to have drills and plays and stuff. Actually ended up selling it to Garrett Weininger at Fisher's at 5 or 6 years ago, and then he was too busy winning state titles to do much with it. So
It'll come back.
Yeah,
it's got to come back.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's kind of my basketball life in a nutshell.
So it's interesting because one thing that you said, and it really kind of drug my attention of like, we're not here to crusade against AAU, and things evolve. And sometimes they evolve for the better, sometimes they evolve for the worse. And AAU, in my opinion, it started off as a good idea. However, what is evolving to is, and you still have people that do it right. And you could correct me if I'm wrong. If you're like, no, Paul, you're way off on this. But when you were there and Indiana Elite was at its prime when it first started and where it's going, I want to say they were more pure of like, we have quality coaches. Now, I think if you were to throw a stick at 100 coaches, you'd have a hard time finding one that actually knew what he was doing. Talk about how your time in there, what was good, what was bad, but also the evolution of how should we use the tool of, I call it club basketball, but how should we use the tool of club basketball now?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the main things is when I grew up, we're using Indiana Elite as an example. There's several. It was elite. It was the elite. If you were playing for Indiana Elite, your name was Jordan Holes, or you were Cody Zeller, or like you were elite and you were playing, nationally, and you were probably a Division I prospect, and you were playing against other Division I prospects. Where that's gone in basically the last decade is if you've got the money, you're going to find an AAU program to play on. Like somebody will take your money, put you in tournaments. And like you said, there's not really a lot of qualifications that are necessary. There's not certifications you have to get. Maybe if you play in a live period, you have to take a couple USA basketball courses, but anybody can pass those. It's not like it's a pass-fail thing. You just have to watch the videos. So I feel like the quality of coaching, I feel like the understanding from parents has gotten misconstrued on just what's right, what's wrong, what should we be doing. There's no education on how do we navigate this, right? Like we take 12 years of schooling before we go off to college, before we can spread our wings and fly. Well, a lot of these parents, they're flying by the seat of their pants. They weren't athletes in their college careers and whatnot, or high school careers, and so they're kind of just going with what they think they should do, and there's no education. So it's a snowball effect where keeping up with the Joneses. I mean, there's a million different factors, but it's just really turned into vast commercialization of youth sports, and I feel like we're losing the plot on who this should be about, which is the kids.
Yeah. What would you do to put that back in gear of like, hey, let's kick this back in third and let's make it about the kids? What would be your first couple steps?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as parents, like it's educating parents, because that's ultimately what's driving this, right? Like it's supply and demand, it's capitalism, it's all those things, which is, why this country's great. But at the same time, too, the toothpaste is out of the tube, so it will be hard to put it back in. I think number one is if we can have more advocates that have been there, done that, professional athletes. I know Greg Olson does a great job in advocating for multi-sport athletes, less specialization, less travel all over the country and stuff at the age of 7. I think people that have been there and done that can advocate for kind of what we're talking about in terms of kind of toning it down and focusing on development. I think that's a big one because they have social proof.
Yeah.
Whereas as much as I would like to think I have social proof as somebody that's navigated this scene, like people are probably less apt to listen to me than if they would a LeBron James or a Dan Hurley or a Greg Olson or whoever the case may be. So I would love if there was more advocates at the professional and level to kind of tone down the culture that we've created as a society. But me personally, like, I just want to educate parents. I want them to know that like there could be better ways. There are other ways. You don't have to keep up with the Joneses. The best athlete at 12 years old doesn't necessarily become the best athlete at 18 years old. Growth is not linear. There's ups and downs, and kids develop at different rates, and there's so much that goes into it. So the main piece to me is education. That's why I originally posted my post, is just like I want people to know that it doesn't have to be this way. Now, it's going to take a lot more than just you and I out here talking about it, but this is a good start.
Yeah. And the original post is, I mean, obviously people aren't friends with you on Facebook,
Yeah.
but it went pretty viral for Indianapolis. You got
Sure.
on the Indy Star. You were the face of it. And,
Yeah.
Which was fun to
Slow
see.
news day, man.
I did it, Mama. I made it. It was, the post was, people are paying $300 for a game to watch their 5th, 6th, 7th grader play. And what it is it's interesting because I talk to parents, and this is one of the biggest things, like, well, I don't like this about the team. I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm like, you realize you own your money. Like, you gave them money. That means you own that product. If I go to Ruth Chris and I drop $300 on a steak and it doesn't come out exactly how I want, I don't just chew it and be like, oh, this is great, and pay the bill. Like, I can send it back. And I try to educate parents and say, if you don't like the playing time, you can get your money back and go somewhere else. If you don't like the product that you're given, you can leave. And as long as we keep paying these high prices, $300, guess what? Next year they're going to be $350, then $375, then $400, and it's only going to go up. And they know that because they keep paying it. And I remember the first time it was $7,
Right.
And I remember seeing the crap fest that was thrown about that. And but it grows, and that's when.
Then they start charging for parking, and it's like they add on.
Have you heard about the hotels?
Oh yeah, that you have to stay at the hotel or you can't be in the tournament.
Yeah, that's just and the hotel's like $100 more than every other hotel in the area, and it's just one of those. The capitalistic mind of the AAU programs are getting smarter, and they're doing their homework, and this is what a lot of people don't process, is that I'm tangenting. I'm going to warn you about that, but I'm going to bring it back. I'm against the transfer rules. I'm against this whole, you could just go bounce around however you want, because who's going to be slicker? Me and you that have done this for 20 years, or the first time freshman? You and I know what to say to get that. Oh, you're going to get your playing time. You're going to get this. Yep. We have gold chains. Look at this. We have a throne. Oh, and they get there and they realize that I got duped. And those coaches that are not like us, I'm not going to sell somebody on what I'm not going to deliver, but there are a lot of coaches that don't.
Yep.
There are a lot of coaches that make promises that don't deliver. So we have to educate the parents on, this is what you should be doing. And it's easier because those again, the parents that are coming in and paying $700 to watch their kid, that's the first time they're like, they don't know anything else. And I know that you and I talked, and you said you had a kindergartner.
Yep.
What is his growth? What is his development going to look like, knowing what you know?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like I'm putting him in a million different sports, and I want to see what he likes.
Yeah.
Like, if he doesn't like basketball, like I'm not going to force him into it. I think he does. He's around it enough. He likes being around my team where I think he probably will play basketball. But I just want him to play. Like, I don't want to go up to Chicago and Milwaukee and whatever, and quite frankly, like waste away my weekends when he's 7 or 8 years old. And so I want him to play. I want him to have fun with it. I want him to grow a love of the game. All of those things are happening oftentimes without a ball in his hands. Like, he loves basketball right now because his 2 favorite players, Finn Satry and Will Jackson, that played at GCA, are super nice to him.
Yeah.
And so, like, that has given him a love of the game, which was without a basketball in his hands. Those guys play the game the right way, so now he watches them play, and he's excited about what they do on the basketball floor. Then, when he gets out there, now he's trying to mimic what they do. So he's, hey, I'm Will Jackson. Him and my daughter play in their little Tykes goal, and they act like they're players on the GCA team, and they're trying to emulate moves from them, which is great. So, like, right now, it's really just growing a love of the game, and then working with him. And again, it's not all linear. If he wants to go play hide and seek with his friends, I'm not going to be like, well, you got to get in the gym, because that, to me, just grows a resentment of the game. So a lot of it is kind of going at his pace, understanding that he's got other interests and things. Like, I never have to go tell him to play video games, right? Like,
Yeah.
he'll just want to go do that. So how do I foster that love? Why does he like video games? Well, because dad's not dictating it. He can talk to his friends on it. Like, different things that, like, okay, how do I emulate that in the basketball realm? Like, go do free play. Like, I used to love going to the park and just playing with my boys. I feel like that's completely lost now. Like, there's none of that,
Yeah.
at least that I know of. Like, I'll drive by a million parks. Half of them don't even have rims on the goals anymore. So, like, I would love to kind of foster that environment by me having access to a gym. That helps because I can say, hey, grab your buddies and come play in the gym. But ultimately, man, right now it's just growing a love for the game. Same with soccer. He loves playing soccer, so I would love for him to grow that. Now, I don't know anything about soccer, so that's going to be somebody else's path. I want him to love the game because I do. I think about what grew my love for the game. And some of that was playing with my buddies and doing, I'm not saying never go on road trips, but we would go on like one a year. And it was to Terre Haute,
Yeah.
And we'd stay in a hotel in Terre Haute or whatever. Like, so there are things about it that I love and that can foster good environments and foster the love for the game and all those things. But I would love for it to be more at a local level where, the guys that he's playing with are guys that are in his area. He can go to their houses on the weekends. And so, again, not linear, but I'm just trying to foster a love for the game right now.
No, and that's beautiful because I remember so I was a military brat, and this is probably gonna spark a thought with you because we didn't have indoor courts. Mm-hmm. Everything was outdoor, and we had a good breeze. Then you're not shooting that.
Right.
Everything's at the rim, and then getting fouled, and then the score 7-2 after 30 minutes, and you're like, oh my gosh. But when you found an indoor gym, it was childhood gold. Like, you didn't let that go. And we were traveling. I was raised in Europe, and we ended up going to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And I found a court that we were staying next to, and I played. My mom and dad forced me off the court, forced me to go see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And I was like, can I get back on the court? Can I play? And I remember being so addicted that I couldn't play the next day because my feet were bloody because I played for 13 hours because I loved it.
Yep.
And those are the players that I really love to work with. Those are the players where I'm like, give me that kid, because the kids that, and I'm sweeping, I'm painting with a broad brush on this one, but what I find is that a lot of the parents that got cut, that weren't good enough, that are did the blah, 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 they're the ones that are beating the hammer of like, you have to be here, you have to do this. And they walk on the court, I'm like, I don't want to work with you today.
Yep.
Like, please. And those kids that genuinely love it, those are the ones I want to work with. And I think that you're right, though. I've always noticed that the high-level parents, their kids want to be here. And if they don't want to be here, they don't show up. And that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but find something that your kid loves to do.
Yep.
And we did the soccer route, and we did the soccer route. We did it. So, but he didn't like it. So,
Yeah.
but I'm with you. My kids are kind of in that same boat of flirting with basketball, but I think it's more spend time with dad because
Yep.
I'm not around a lot, unfortunately. Yeah. So, what are some things you're doing at Greenwood Christian that grow the game, grow the love, and that way you could see that at the varsity level?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're playing a lot. Like, everything we do a constraints-led approach. So, trying to foster decision making, putting them in situations that they're going to see in games and playing out of those. We're not doing a lot of just drills for the sake of drilling, right? We're trying to grow players. And the one thing that I heard most of, like, man, our practices this year were fun. Like, I looked forward to practices. And that's because we played a lot. And ultimately, I think that helped our growth throughout the season. I think it excelled our player development because we would just constrain something. Hey, all right, we're doing 4-on-2 today, and you got to score on these 4, but you only get 2 dribbles or whatever the case may be. But I felt like that helped our player development. But what really helped it was they had fun doing it.
Yeah.
They didn't dread it. I feel like if you dread, we talked about it, if you dread coming to the gym, like, you're just not going to grow at the rate that you want to grow. And are you doing it for the right reasons? Are you doing it because mom and dad want you to do it? Or are you doing it because you want to be better at basketball? Or you want to win? Like, that's what was fun this year is we had a group of guys that wanted to win. And they were willing to do whatever they could to win, which meant getting in the gym extra, getting up extra shots, working on their games, going to places like HSA. And so that, to me, like, fostering that culture of wanting to win, but wanting to win the right way, was really cool. Like, we didn't go out and just try to get 7 athletes to go win the sectional title. We had our JV team from last season, grew them, and thanks to places like this that also work with them. We're not here to just say that, because they went to Greenwood Christian Academy, they got better. No, they were willing to put in work outside of Greenwood Christian Academy to get better, and we still have those guys, which is great. So ultimately, man, basketball is a game. I'm the coach at a 1A school. I obviously don't make a lot of money. I don't do any of this for money or anything like that. Like, I literally just love the game, and that's why I got back into the coaching side of it. Is basketball's given a ton to me. I want to give back to it, and I also see, like, it seems like it might be going down a path that isn't great. I would love to try to be the change that I want to see. Yeah. And so, that's why I'm here talking about it. It's why I'm posting on Facebook is I can't just say things and then not try to be that change. Like, I'm actually trying to live that out.
It's something, and I'm going to push back on you on this, and I disagree with you on this, but you talked about your influence that you wish the pro guys would say a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I look at them like, yeah, they're a wide body of water, but they're not very deep. Sure. LeBron could say something, I'm going to listen, but I'm like, I really don't know him. He's not going to have an impact on me.
Yep.
I'm a golfer. He posted something about golf. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And that's kind of where it went. However, you have a situation where your body of water may not be as wide, but is deeper. Mm-hmm. And I think more people are willing to listen to you because you are local. Like, you're not going to spread, your name is not going to go to Ohio, Kentucky, and Chicago, but sure, your name around the Southport area in Indianapolis means a lot. And so when you say stuff, I would say that your opinion probably matters more to people that are here. And the example that I'm tying together is your player, Will Jackson, is that who you said it was? Has a deeper impact on your son than LeBron James does.
Sure.
Like, he doesn't, from what I heard, your son doesn't go like, oh, look at the Curry, look at the LeBron. He goes, I'm going to be Will. And then your daughter's going to be like, I'm the other guy.
Yeah.
And so that is a true impact. And that's one thing I really try to get to players is, especially here, and my older guys that have been training with me, and I'm saying names like Oakley, when he steps up, he's never done this, but when he has a bad attitude, and I have a 5th grader next to him that has a bad attitude, I'm like, hey, his attitude is coming from you. You set the expectation, so he thinks it's okay to pout. Yep. And then Oakley's never done this. Yep. He's a great kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, he looks at me and goes, okay. And he changes his attitude because they realize the biggest thing that I'm trying to drive home, though, is, okay, yeah, you may not play past high school, but you're going to own a business. You're going to be in a business. You're going to be in the world. You're going to be a teacher. You're going to be an educator. You're going to do something. And even as an educator, of like, it only takes one bad apple for you to not show up to that staff meeting and be, oh, we got to listen to Janet complain again, And then it goes, and I'm like, that's the point I'm trying to prove of, you can be a leader even though you're not the leader. And I think that for you, even you speaking out on social media, it gained a lot of attention. And I think that it is important for you to say stuff.
Yep.
And I commend you, though. Like, for the record, for people listening, we don't have the answers. This isn't us plotting and saying we do this and this and this, but we're admitting that there is a problem, and that's the first step of fixing it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I try to figure out, like, when did this happen? Like, I feel like I'm still fairly young. My players would disagree. I graduated high school in 2009. Like, we're only in 2026. Like, it doesn't seem like that big of a gap, but a lot has changed. So I try to wrap my mind around, like, how did this happen? Well, to me, a lot of it used to be like YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, like local-based clubs that kids would play at. You have your all-star teams. They'd go to travel, whatever the case may be. To me, something like the economic crisis in 2008, a lot of those programs got defunded, and to me, that's when like the privatization of all of this started to happen. That's a theory, a hypothesis. I don't know that that's when the shift happened, but like to me, that's when it was like, oh, there's an opportunity here now. Let's pounce on it. So to me, like, is that when the shift happened? And then, Disney created the wide world of sports. That was like the first mega complex. Now there's one every other exit,
Yeah.
but people saw like, oh wow, there's money to be made in this. And I'm an entrepreneur. Like I totally can get behind the hustle, behind wanting to make money, but I think there is a right way and a wrong way to go about it. I feel like we're trending down the wrong path.
No, I agree with that. And I think that from my perspective, I didn't think about 2008, but that makes perfect sense. And that's kind of, I guess you could say, the Sputnik for basketball.
Yeah.
For us educated, like, ooh, Sputnik changed everything.
Right.
And I think but for me, I think the change is my parents didn't care about sports.
Yeah.
Like, my parents did not watch me play street basketball. Like, it was me getting on a bike. I had a backpack, put my basketball in the backpack. And again, being raised in Europe, like, most of my biggest confrontations that I may or may not have gotten into fights too was the fact that the guys were using the basketball courts as a soccer goal.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, I want to play basketball. We're playing soccer. And I don't want to play soccer. Like, but we have goals the way it was set up. And so that was always my big confrontation, and my parents didn't care. And I think it's interesting now because parents are throwing stones at parents. Yeah, everyone's right for this. But like our parents, like I have more parents that watch and critique and say, well, this is how you need to do it. You're not leading with the right foot. You're not pushing the ball out enough. And then when I misstep, I'm the bad guy. It's also interesting because I've had to do this more times than not. I start all my workouts with 2-ball dribbling. If you go to Vegas and you see me do a coaching clinic, you say, I bet 100 he'll start with 2-ball, you win your money back every time. Like, I'm starting with 2-ball. It's what I'm ingrained with, and that's how I develop. But I say get 2-ball dribbling, and I see the parents run over both basketballs. They find the basketballs, polish them off, and give them to the kids. And I'm like, no. Like, this is part of him growing, is to go find his own basketballs. Like, this is the first step. And I think that parents now, the perspective have changed of I just want to raise myself. My parents just want to keep me alive.
Right.
They didn't care if I was a good person or not. They were just like, make sure it gets
Survive.
to 18. As long as it gets to 18, we did our job, parents of the decade. And then it went from my parents went from just survived at 18 to my parents we have to be good kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, my kids have to now be good athletes. And it's like at some point in time, you have to back off and let the kids mess up. And I think that's part of the biggest growth. You're an entrepreneur. Yep. I'm an entrepreneur. And I guarantee you, if you and I had a podcast about entrepreneurship, we could talk about our 5 biggest failures, and the 5 biggest lessons we have was because of those failures.
Absolutely.
And my mom has passed away, but they're not showing up to save me anymore.
Yep.
And when we set that reputation of, well, mommy and daddy are always going to be there to save you, I think that's how we end up where we are. So I don't know when that happened.
Yeah.
That's why I like your 2008 of like, when did the parents shift of, I have to be a good athlete?
Yeah.
So.
It's bizarre too, because it's like, I don't even fault the parents. It's like, it's the culture that, like, I do, because I think there's some crazy parents, and I could tell stories for days on those side of things. But also it's like, it's the culture that they've grown up in, having kids. Like, they want to keep up with the Joneses. Like, Billy down the street is a great basketball player, and he plays on 3 different AU teams, so shoot, I guess we got to play on 3 different AAU teams because he's better than my kid right now, but I want him to grow. And so it's again, there's no education on how does this work, or what builds a great athlete, or like what prevents injuries. Like that right now, like that's a huge thing. Guys are tearing their ACLs like crazy, or in their Achilles, and like I guarantee that there is nobody on staff at the majority of the AAU programs in the country that has any sort of training on injury prevention, injury management. If a kid comes down in a game, they might have a trainer at the facility that might look at him and put some ice on it. But like for the most part, there isn't a holistic view of the athlete, and it's an end to a means. And then if that kid gets hurt, guess what? They call on another kid to come in the next day. And so and that's just a side tangent. But like there's no education on like what should we be doing, and quite frankly, it's because we don't really know. So I think the parents are just kind of a product of the environment and the culture. Some of it is enablement that, like, again, but there's no governing body. If you act like a horse's behind at a event and you get thrown out, it's not like you're thrown out for the year. You just go to the next venue the next weekend and do the same thing. So there's no accountability on that regard either.
Interesting. That's crazy that you said that part of a governing body that could hold that said parent accountable. Instead, you're right, because if you get thrown out here, you can go right down to another trainer and do this and this, and then you keep throwing it around. It's also something that I'm going to open up and I get a little annoyed about is won a state championship. I've had NBA draft guys, I've had guys in college, and I have parents that look at me and I say, hey, this is what your child needs, your son or daughter, whatever, and they look at me and go, you're wrong. And I'm like, how am I wrong?
Okay.
Like, what? Excuse me, what? Well, and this is going to be an arrogant comment. I'm going to admit it before I say it, but when it comes to player development, like I tell people all the time, I'm here to serve the coaches. Like my job is not to stroke my ego. My job is to make your kids perform at the level you want them to. And if they don't, I could call you and say, hey, I did everything I could. Like that's, that man
partnership, certainly.
Yeah. And there's a lot of trainers that want to do it their way and they teach a bunch of stuff that I don't agree with. But they're like, oh, well, this guy gives a flashy move. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that flashy move is going to get you beat, and you look at the floaters, you look at the step back threes, you even look at Halliburton's finishes, even the one he had on Giannis that was like mind blowing. That's a tough finish, but he only did it once.
Yep.
He didn't do it every single time, and he did it because he had to.
Right.
There was no other options. But like in third grade, there's so many other options that floater is not what you should be taking. Why are we training it? And it drives me nuts as a trainer. But then when I try to educate the parents of like, hey, I had a kid, he couldn't make 20 layups. And I'm not talking in a row, not 19 for 20. He was like 7 for 20.
Yep.
Like, okay, we got to get these finishes down. Dad got frustrated with me, takes him to another coach, and okay, whatever. And the kid comes back with a step back 3. And I'm like, he can't make layups. Like, I think making layups is more important than a step back 3. And it was frustrating to me because he has this flashy move that we won a state championship when that one step back 3 was taken. You won a sectional, I could guarantee you, like
0.
Step back 3s are not a good shot. Well, the NBA does it, but they're playing another basketball game. Like, they have to. They would love to just take a set shot. And
exactly.
What are things that you see from player development guys and that you wish would change? And like, what could we deliver from a player development standpoint to a high school coach that would deliver?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is decision making. Like that is what we are constantly training in practice. Like I've noted with our drills and everything, is just like we want guys to be able to make decisions. And if we are structuring every single move, like, all right, you're going to do 3 dribbles and then you're going to go to the left elbow, you're going to do a crossover, and then you're going to do a 1 foot, 1 hand finish. Like there's a place for that. I think that you definitely want to kind of get that rhythm down, but if you're then never have a defender guarding you and you're not doing that move and making a decision to do that move, it's really hard to like make that a game situation. So for me, it's constantly training decision making in game situations and not just doing drills for drill's sake. Like that's what I'm constantly telling my staff is like, are we building drills or are we building skills? Because if we're building drills, like we're probably losing the plot a little bit. But if we're building skills, like I think we're probably doing the right thing. And again, there's a place for all of that. Like I think that to get the movements down and all that, that's great. But I love having defenders enforcing decision making in everything that we do, whether it be 1-on-1, 2-on-1. Like, that's another thing. 1-on-1's great. Like, I love 1-on-1. I love my guys that play 1-on-1, and we can constrain things to try to, not turn it into a 50 dribble fest and stuff like that. But so for me, that's one thing, and part of it is kind of the Instagram culture and whatnot of, like, if you're training basic skills, that's not flashy. That's not, exciting. That doesn't go on Instagram all the time. Whereas, again, if you're training a 50 dribble combo move into a step back, into what looks like a travel but apparently isn't one anymore, like, that's flashy, right? That looks cool. Yeah. And so I wish there was more of this, like, basic skill development with defenders and stuff like that. But I get it too. Like, I don't have all the answers. I'm not the perfect skills development guy or anything like that. So ultimately, though, I want my guys to come in and be able to pass, dribble, shoot, make decisions. If trainers are working with that, like, I probably like them.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I saw, we're talking about the culture, which I do agree to a point. It is at the top. I was watching ESPN this a couple years ago, and I saw Luka make a nice little drop step, boom, took the three, guy dropped, and they're like, look at this move, and he missed the three. But he made a number one Sports Center for the move, and I'm like, we just missed the whole agenda. Like, if you miss the three, it's not a good move. Like, I don't care if the guy splits his pants. Like,
right.
He missed the three. Like, get that off of top 10. Like, no, like, that's a good move, yes, but not top 10 worthy. And I think that we lose the narrative of that flashiness of, and you look for the long term of, like, well, this move is going to live in infamy. But meanwhile, that score is only like, that sucks for today, but, we can make up because we got a flashy post out of it. And it's hard to fight that. It really is.
Yep.
And you also see the parents that see that too, of like, oh, well, there's that third grader that's really flashy. You look at Julian Elderman. No, is that who
Edelman? Yeah.
Edelman?
Yeah.
Like, that should be a warning sign of, like, yeah, you can start off as a really good third grader, but he didn't even have a good high school career.
Yep.
And so you have to put all that in perspective. What would you say the first step of educating a parent would be?
Willingness to listen. I think that's the main, like, look, parenting is a fly by the seat of your pants. Like, I totally get it. I've got 3 kids that are 6, 4, and 1, and I am certainly flying by the seat of my pants. There's not a manual on how to raise your kids, but I think the willingness to listen to folks like you and I, to have an understanding of who does know what they're talking about, who doesn't. But I think the first part is just willingness to know that you don't know everything and seek out resources that can help you. And because the parents that do that, I feel like their kid ends up with a better experience. Like, you're not constantly shopping them around to different high schools and different AAU programs. They have some stability in their basketball life, which I think is important. Like, your trainer you spend a ton of time with. If you can stick with a trainer for a long portion of your basketball career, like, that is huge because they know your game better than anyone, probably your high school team. If you can build stability in your high school program and have a great culture, like, that's huge. Your AAU team, like, I coached at Indiana Elite, and I had a program from freshmen through juniors. By the time we were juniors, we were probably Indiana Elite's 3rd team. We beat teams that were on all the circuits, not because we had all D3 and NAI players, but they could play together. Yeah. And so stability in your AAU program, I think, is important. So I think stability is a huge part. I think it's got to start when you're younger. You got to be willing to listen. You got to go to the right programs, the right people. And, to me, it would be try to avoid getting yourselves in bad situations. By doing that, you seek out resources.
It's fun because you mentioned some of the red flags about AAU and the Indiana Elites and whatnot, but you also put out a lot of green flags. I mean, red flags. For me, if I see a coach ripping the kids, like, just cussing at them, like, I'm one of those, like, okay, no, you're not cussing at a 9-year-old.
Right.
I'm not gonna say I'm perfect.
Sure.
I let some fly, but around the older kids, they seem to, like, I'm not excited to do it. Like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, that was a great speech. I'm like, come on, Paul, you're better than that. But if you're just openly screaming at the kids, yes, you need to hold the kids accountable, but, like, also, if it's 100% the kid's fault, like, you screwed up. Was it a teaching moment?
Right.
And then also, if you sign up for a program and it's a different coach every other season, you're the whole time, and that's one thing I'm trying to get parents to understand. A lot of times is they show up for a week and a half and they're like, well, we didn't get anything out of this. I'm like, this like that week and a half, I'm just figuring out how your son works. I'm figuring out what makes your daughter tick. Like, do I have to scream at him to motivate him? Can I use my personality to motivate him? Like, I have to build a relationship that, is not just 3 days old. Like, it's going to take me 3 months just to build a relationship, to get to know your kid, to get them to work.
Yep.
And that's where the long-term benefits. Now, those are some of the reasons not to say, but like, I also think like the prior product, like for example, you just didn't get the job at Greenwood Christian blindly. You had a proven track record. And whether it was public or not, but if you look at your resume, I guarantee you could see a proven track record. And with a young trainer, you could look at that resume and say, okay, here's a proven track record that's coming up. And for me, it was one thing when I opened my business, I didn't have any proof that I could develop. So I gave really good deals. However, now that my product is taking off, now my prices go up, and everyone's like, well, I want that price. I'm like, you didn't take a chance on me.
Yep.
You had a chance. You had the opportunity to take a chance. Now this is what you have to do. And so for those player development coaches, even the programs, yes, you want to give that coach a time to learn. And I don't agree with the programs that fire their coach year after year after year because you didn't win a state championship. You didn't win a state championship. Okay, so Fisher's went 23-1 this year, and they lost. Is he a failure? Because you didn't win a state championship? Like, no, like,
Right.
That's a good year. So I think that these parents, and also just educating of like, you need an opportunity to let the coach grow, but you need to let the program grow, and then, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's. I ask my parents in every parent meeting before the year. I say, what's an individual goal for your son in terms of playing time? What do you want the team to do? All those things. What's a goal for your kid in basketball? That way, if they're completely off base on, like, if they're like, I want them to be a 20-point per game scorer on varsity, and I think they're a JV player, like, I can nip that in the bud early, right? I can have that conversation with them early of, hey, here's your expectation, here's where we see it, let's have a conversation. But also, after that, I ask, what do you want them to get out of the season outside of basketball? Like, what experience do you want them to have? Because that's important too. Like, that's going to foster a love for the game. That's going to keep them coming back. And so that's a big part of it too, is like, basketball is important. We want them to have a good experience. But if you could win a bunch of games too, and you could be miserable because you're around bad people, you're around guys that aren't doing the right things. Like, and so that's another thing that I'm huge on, is like, let's make this a positive experience outside of the game of basketball as well, so that kids want to keep coming back, and they'll tell their friends in the school, like, hey, this program's different, like, come out for the team, or whatever the case may be. So that's a big piece of it too, that I think parents lose sight of, is the basketball side of it. Yes, we want our kids to do well. We want them, like, we're all advocates for our own kids. I get that. But let's not lose sight too of this is more than just the 32 minutes once a week for 20 weeks out of the year. Like, this is an experience for them that oftentimes will, kind of set their expectations up. Like, sports are a microcosm of life. Like, it's going to set them up for success or failure in other areas of life, and how they handle these situations and what their experience is. So that's a big part of it to me. I mean, my high school basketball teammates, every single guy in my wedding I played high school basketball with, like, had nothing to do with the wins and the losses and all that. It was the relationships that we built. And so that's a big piece of it too. If you're constantly bouncing around and not finding good situations, like, it's hard to have that.
It's you said something I was at the summer league, and I know some people that were associated with people, blah blah blah, and I know the team chaplain for a couple different programs. And one guy, I'm not saying the teams, I'm not saying the names, but won an NBA championship, and the very next day calls the team chaplain and goes, there's got to be more than life to this. He was the NBA Finals MVP, just won a championship, and literally 24 hours later he goes, I'm not fulfilled. And those rings and the championships and the chasing aren't what fulfill you. And I was fortunate enough to win a state championship at Morristown, and it was crazy because I cried after the game. I cried my eyes out. It was embarrassing. It was a bad cry. But everyone was upset, like, oh my gosh, are you just emotional? I'm like, no, I'm mad that I won't see the guys in practice on Monday. Like, I love this team so much, and I enjoy practicing, and I really enjoy spending time with these guys. And for me, it was more heartbreaking because I wanted to practice on Monday. I wanted to be with the guys and have fun.
Yep.
And the fact that we weren't practicing anymore broke my heart, more so than winning a state championship. And that was fulfilling. Like, we still chat, we still talk to each other, and we're still connected, but we also had a very good bond. And I hear a lot of people play basketball, but not very many people are on a team.
Yep.
And to me, it's a two-way street of like, yeah, you got to be on a team, but you also have to let your teammates be teammates. And a lot of people miss that, especially when you have to outcoach home and you get home and you get to the dinner table and like, well, Tommy took all these shots. He shouldn't be taking all these shots. And this kid doesn't play defense. And you're at the dinner table and you're like, geez, like.
Yep. It breeds negative culture.
Yeah. Do you guys work at all? Or do you guys just watch game film? So, real quick. Hey, by the way, Greenwood Christian, amazing program. You guys are going to love it. Like, absolutely go check them out. It's funny because I love this part of the job. There's some things I hate about this job, but there's also some things I love, and I get to love hearing the background of the coaches. So I get to hear what people are saying behind your back.
Yep.
And so many people talk very
Do we need to cut this?
No, we're going live, baby. No, so many coaches, so many of your players come in here, and people, the parents of the program, and they speak very highly of you. So keep doing the good work.
That's encouraging.
I have one more question for you, and then we're out of here.
Yep.
You wake up tomorrow, you're the commissioner of basketball in America. Any rule you make has to go through. And I've heard people say a 4-point spot. I've heard people say a shot clock universal. A lot of people want to know what is a gather step. Like, just make the rule universal. Let us all gather step, or let us no one gather step. I had one person that, she was a chiropractor. She did interesting. She said everybody has to have a mechanical coach. So Indiana Elite, all the other programs would have to have a mechanical coach on staff.
Yeah.
What would be your rule and why?
Let's say 3-on-3 until age 12.
Ooh.
Why? You get the ball in your hands more. The floor is more wide open. You can play more because you're only playing in a half-court setting for the most part in 3-on-3. At least if it's like a FIBA 3-on-3. But I love 3-on-3. We use it with our high school guys a lot. Like I said, gets the ball in the guys' hands more. They've got more space to operate, to understand just like how spacing works on the basketball floor. Like my son, kindergartner, played 5-on-5 this winter. The league he played in is awesome. They do great things, but like 5-on-5 at that is just a mob. You're just one over here. That also prevents zone defense, which I'm a huge advocate of no zone as well at younger ages, because it's a cheat code. Like, you're just trying to win games and not trying to develop players. So I'll go 3v3 till age 12-ish.
Love it, man. Love it. Hey, if you made it this far, obviously you're buying into the stuff that we're talking about. On a serious note, though, go check out Greenwood Christian. They're going to be a phenomenal program. Just to be honest, Greenwood Christian better be appreciative for what they have, because good coaches like you don't come around a long time.
Well,
so you can see that you're young in your career. We love seeing you guys grow, and I hear the things that people are saying behind your back, and they absolutely love you, and it's amazing to hear. If we said something you don't agree with, comment, make a comment. Let's get into it. I'll bring it back on, and we'll go back at it. I don't mind playing devil's advocate. I don't mind playing.
Hey, I might watch this back and not agree with what I said. So
I've done that a handful of times. Like, oh, what was I thinking? But also, if you're a parent and you want more resources, reach out and say, hey, we don't have the answers, but if you have some answers, we want to hear. We want to hear your comments, questions, concerns, and we're here to fix this thing. We're not here to just throw stones. I mean, I put my neck out here. I built a facility to fix that problem. Like, that is why I own this facility, is to stop all the stuff that's going on. I went to the counteraction of what everybody else was doing. And so bringing coaches in, having honest conversations, that's what we're here for. So appreciate you, Coach. You did amazing.
Appreciate you.